Today's episode of Hot Calcs Let's Play is brought to you in part by the Internet Archive. The Internet Archive is a non-profit library of millions of free books, movies, software, music, websites, and more. For more information, check archive.org. Project Reality. Making tomorrow's pipe dreams a reality today. Shoptown Mall. Located just off. Stop by today. And subscribers like you. Thank you. Well, hello there, Nibbles. It's Valentine's Day, which means it's time for something special. You may have heard of a choose-your-own-adventure book. You may have heard of a romance novel. But have you heard of a choose-your-own-romance novel? That's right. This is an officially licensed D&D product. This is HeartQuest Book Number 1, Ring of the Ruby Dragon. You laugh with delight as the centaur nears your wagon. You don't often get to see centaurs because they rarely come near humans. So you find the creature with a human head and torso on a sleek horse's body quite fascinating to see. "Look, father," you exclaim, "it's coming to see us." But your delight upon seeing the centaur turns to dismay as the centaur's human hands begin swinging a heavy oaken club at your horse. "Father," you exclaim, "centaurs aren't supposed to be vicious. Why is it coming after us?" "Hold on tightly, Shandell," your father says. "Let's get away from it." You clutch the side of your wagon as your father urges the horse, Dwaddle, to pick up the pace and outrun the malevolent centaur. A shadow falls across your face, and you look up to see two winged lions flying towards you. They look as if they're going to land on the centaur's back. Maybe they're going to help you. But again, something is wrong. The winged lions, known to be good and friendly creatures, are helping the centaur. Together they drag on the traces and try to force your horse to a halt. Standing, you brace yourself against the swaying and rushing of the wagon and prepare to leap to the back of the nearest winged lion, hoping to direct it away from your father and the wagon. Wow, that is really, that's your plan? Okay, hun. But as you jump, the creature moves to the side abruptly, and you hit the ground. The breath explodes from your body as you land amid Dwaddle's flying hooves. One hoof strikes your head. Oh, man. And you are conscious of nothing else. I'd say. You ever been kicked in the head by a horse? When you open your eyes, you feel a pain shooting through your head and you remember the horse's hooves. You'd have a lot more than a pain shooting in your head. Jeez. You flinch as you expect another hoof to strike, but then you realize you are alone. The centaur is gone. The lions have flown away. Your father is gone too. "Father," you whisper, alarmed at the silence surrounding you. Then you rise to see your wagon nearby. Surprisingly, Dwaddle stands next to it, quietly munching the grass as though nothing unusual has happened. Dwaddle doesn't even remember kicking you in the head. You hurry to the wagon, expecting to see your father lying in the hurt. But the wagon is empty. Moving out from the wagon, in ever-winding circles, you look for signs of your father's fate, but find nothing. No blood, no weapons, no evidence of scuffling. Nothing but animal tracks. He must have been carried away by the flying lions. Returning forlorn to the wagon, you sink down on the seat, absent-mindedly brushing the leaves from your fur-trimmed cloak. What have they done with father? You think, your body trembling in fear. Just fear, not the fact that you got kicked in the head by a horse. You feel more alone than you've ever thought possible. You've been working as your father's apprentice for 5 years, ever since your mother died when you were 10 years old. Even though you travel all across the land to make jeweled golden items for lords and ladies, you've never felt in danger. But now... "Father!" you shout, overcome by an unaccustomed feeling of panic. You turn and shout in all directions, "Father!" But the only sounds that meet your ears are the clink and squeak of leather traces as dwaddle stirs. Suddenly, you remember your father's collection of valuable gems. Did the beasts take them? You wonder. Quickly, you raise the wagon seat to explore the box beneath it. But even as you sort through the things inside, you know in your heart that the matched set of emeralds, the set your father worked so hard to acquire for Lord Darkhel, is gone. Your heart sinks. Reluctant to give up hope, you move aside some clothing in the bottom of the box, and a small leather pouch catches your eye. Maybe they didn't get everything. Lowering the wagon seat, you quickly sit and open the pouch in your lap. Out tumbles a set of strange stones. Certainly not the finely polished gems your jeweler father mounts for aristocracy. These seemingly ordinary stones must have been overlooked by the plundering beasts. As you start to inspect them, they begin to move. One by one, the stones drift out of your hand and up into the air, where they form a ring around your head near the golden circlet that holds your long auburn hair in place. As you note the stone's vivid colors, pale blue, scarlet, banded pink, and green, lavender, a beautiful dusty rose, and even a vibrant purple. A faint memory creeps into your mind, a memory of you playing with these stones when you were a child. You would toss them from your hand to hand and laughed with delight when they formed the ring. You didn't remember this because you got kicked in the head by a horse today. But when your father came into the room, he hurriedly plucked the stones out of the air, scooped them into the bag, and shoved the bag into his pocket. "They aren't toys," he had said. Then he sat next to you, placing an arm around your shoulder, and explained they were iron stones. I think that's how you pronounce that. Wonderful stones of magical protection. Each provided a different aid. More power to a strong arm, greater perception, greater dexterity, increased ability to survive without food and water. Gotta have your food and water. The lustrous pearl had the power to heal, and the lavender stone could remove magical spells surrounding a victim by absorbing them. Now you remember clearly. Your father had taken one of the stones from the bag, the deep purple one, and said in a voice hushed by awe, "This stone was prepared by a great wizard for a special journey into a strange and dangerous land. It contains magical spells to protect him on the journey." "Are the spells still in there?" you had asked. "Yes. The wizard never used the stone," he replied. "But Papa, what does the stone do?" you asked, astonished that such a small stone could hold so much power. He replied thoughtfully, "I know some of the spells he put into the stone, my little one, but not all. Perhaps it's better not to ask. Now let's put the pretty stones away." And he gave you a hug. Remembering, you picked the stones out of the air and returned them to their pouch, pondering what to do. Not long before the attack, your father had said soon you would reach the next town on your journey, to Lord Darkhel's, to make the special emerald jewelry. Maybe you could get help there. Someone who will help you find your father. Oh, Father, will I ever see you again? Tears well in your eyes and start to roll down your cheeks, probably related to the fear and not the fact that you were kicked in the head by a horse today. Your horse stirs, hearing me smack talk it just a bit ago, and you look up to see, coming towards you through the woods, a knight, clad in chainmail armor and leather, mounted on a magnificent cinnamon-colored horse. You quickly brush the tears from your face and start to straighten your clothing. As he rides towards your wagon, he notices you watching him and stirs straighter on his horse. Stopping in front of you, the knight smiles and bows from the waists. "Good day, milady." You smile gratefully at the milady, more used to hearing young lass or even little girl. Hello, you said in return, immediately captivated by the bright personality and dark features of this handsome young knight. How do you do, he says, smiling. Then he notices the tears you failed to wipe away, and his brow furrows with concern. Are you a maiden in distress? He asks, and quickly dismounts. Well, I guess I am, you say, reminded of your present plight. What happened? I was traveling with my father when a centaur and 2 winged lions charged our wagon, trying to gain control of our horse, you say, pointing to Dwaddle. When I stopped them, I fell from the wagon and was knocked out for a while. I won't mention that it was my own horse who kicked me in the head. Are you all right? He asks quickly. Oh, yes, you assure him. But when I woke up, Father was gone and so were all the jewels. Jewels? My father makes fine jewelry. Lord Darlek has entrusted us with obtaining and mounting 2 rare and exceptionally beautiful emeralds. I serve as my father's assistant, you say proudly. Oh, what shall I do? You cry, thinking of your losses. I suppose I must continue toward the town and try to find help. I'm a knight, says the young man in armor, stating the obvious. I would be honored to come to your aid, fair, what's your name? Chandel, you offer, smiling at his uncertainty. Chandel, he repeats slowly, as if savoring the sound. How beautiful. Thank you say, pleased with his compliment. And who are you? I am Corin. Sir Corin. He blushes and then lifts his chin proudly. I've just finished my training and been knighted. Bilkin here, he pats his horse, trained with me. Well, congratulations, you exclaim, your image of this knight altering slightly. How exciting for you. Are you on a quest? I will be when I can find one. But in the meantime, I would be very happy to help you. Your heart leaps at the thought of traveling with this attractive young man, but you hesitate. Would a novice knight be a help or a hindrance in my search for father, you ask yourself. You look at him carefully and notice that the sword at his side shines brightly. Has it ever been used, you wonder? And then, afraid that the answer is no, you say, Thank you for offering your aid, Sir Corin, but I don't even know for sure where we are. I think I'd better go into town and find someone who knows this area. Corin's smile disappears, disappointment evident in his now slumping shoulders. Well, I thought maybe... His voice trails off, and then you see a new alertness in his body. Look! He exclaims, kneeling down. These are the tracks of the centaur. We can follow them right to your father. It will be raining soon, though, and these tracks will disappear. We must leave now. What a convenient plot point. Then he adds, his shyness forgotten in his excitement. I'm very good at following tracks. You feel his enthusiasm begin to remove your uncertainty. Maybe he can help, you think. Maybe he knows more than he appears to know. Maybe it would be fun to spend time with them. You brush at your red gown and cloak, wishing they hadn't got so wrinkled. Stop it, Chandel, you tell yourself sternly. Be realistic. I can't go off with this man just because he's attractive. Good on you, Chandel. That's a good thing to be thinking. Don't follow attractive men. I need someone with experience. You're about to make up your mind and then you think, but should I go hunting for my father while the tracks are still fresh? They might be washed away by the time I return from town with help. You must decide. Do you trust Corin and follow the fresh tracks on the ground? If so, turn to page 110. Or will you go into town and find more experienced help? If this is your choice, turn to page 99. Well, this is our first boy, so I'm gonna listen to boy. This is a romance novel after all. If we don't leave now and follow the tracks, we may never find father, you say. I don't think I could stand that. Tears fill your eyes again. Try not to worry, Chandel, Corin says, hesitantly putting his hand on your shoulder. Ooh. You see deep concern in his eyes. I'll do everything I can to help you. By my honor as a knight, he finishes in a flourish that makes him blush again. Then he looks at his hand on your shoulder and drops it quickly, adding, We'd better be on our way. Corin helps you unharness your horse, Waddle. You'll have to leave the wagon and hope to return it later. Looking up at the darkening sky, you grab the leather bag of magic stones and thrust them into your pocket. Then, before Sir Corin can help you, you step up on the hub of the wagon wheel and swing your leg over Dwaddle, skirt swirling around you. All right, Sir Corin, let's go, you say firmly. You turn your face forward, determined to not look back at your father's wagon, which you must abandon. The young knight on the cinnamon horse leads as you follow the distinct tracks of the centaur through the woods. The sky darkens as you enter a dense forest. After an hour, you see other tracks joining those of the centaur. Tracks you don't recognize. They come from all directions and make a muddy path through the woods. You're staring at the ground when you hear a faint sound. Sir Corin, listen, you say, stopping your horse. The knight turns in his saddle and says, won't you please call me Corin Shandell? I'm very proud of the sir, but Corin sounds much friendlier. Oh, he's sidling in. Yes, I will, Corin, but listen, please. You both stop your horses to listen. Through the woods comes a faint melody, so soft that it might be the breeze itself. Oh, Corin, you say, your eyes widening with pleasure. It's a satyr's pipes. I haven't heard them since I was a child. If it is a satyr, maybe we're nearing the centaur. Satyrs and centaurs often live near each other. Corin reaches behind him and takes up his shield. We better be ready for anything. But satyrs are friendly, you exclaim. You thought centaurs were friendly too, Corin reminds you. We'd better walk, Shandell. Why, you ask, confused by a suggestion. Well, frankly, I fight better on the ground, he says as you struggle to stifle a giggle. If you hear the pipes again, he continues, you'd better cover your ears. A satyr's melody may be magical. You swing your leg over and prepare to slide off Dwaddle, and Corin shouts, wait! Frozen in that position, you watch Corin quickly jump from his horse and run back to you. Now slide off. I'll catch you, he says. I don't want you to hurt yourself. Oh, Corin, I've been jumping off horses for years, all by myself. Inside, you are overcome with a mixture of feelings. The desire to know what it's like to have a brave, gentle knight hold you, and anger that he thinks you need help, plus a little fear that you might not carry it off so gracefully. But then you see his expectant face turn towards yours, and know that you can't reject his offer. Sliding off the horse, you feel Corin's strong hands catch you before your feet touch the ground. It's a new sensation. A man holding you close. I could get used to this, you think, enjoying the feeling. Corin gently puts you down. You keep your eyes lowered, embarrassed at being so close, and whispered, thank you. Then you free yourself from his arms, hurriedly cock your head and ask, do you hear the satyr anymore? Corin raises his head, a fleeting emotion, disappointment perhaps, crossing his face. No, he says, listening. Suddenly, something zips past your head and thuds against the tree behind you. What? Corin exclaims. Looking down, he sees a heavy stone rolling on the ground at the base of the tree. You quickly look in the direction from which the stone must have been launched and catch sight of several short human-like creatures with horned heads and hooved hind legs. They're satyrs. They glare at you angrily, swinging their slings in their hands, ready to hurl more large stones at you. Get behind a tree, shouts Corin. But I can help fight them, you argue, knowing that you have a dagger, and knowing, too, that you're capable of defending yourself. Please, Shandell, I'm a knight. Let me protect you, he demands, in an offended tone. Will you let Corin fight the satyrs alone, and prove himself in his first battle as a knight? If so, turn to page 145. Or if you're reluctant to pretend you don't need protection, help fight the satyr, and turn to page 122. Well, do I make the boy feel good? Or do I be a strong, independent woman? I think I'm gonna be a strong, independent woman. Yeah. Torn between letting Corin prove himself and helping him fight the unfriendly satyrs, you instinctively finger the chain around your neck. Then another stone flies towards you, and you know that you can't leave the fight to Corin alone. Your father raised you to do your best in any situation. Shandell, run! Corin shouts as he pulls his helmet into place. I can't, Corin, you say calmly. I have to fight, and I can without getting hurt. You explain further and start walking towards the satyr. For a moment, the creatures are astonished at your daring, but their wonder soon changes to rage as you approach. In their fury, they forget their slings and start throwing rocks as fast as they can. But no thrown rock can hurt you. What you hadn't taken time to explain to Corin is that an amulet that protects you from missiles of any kind hangs around the chain around your neck. An invisible shield surrounds and protects you from any thrown object. Chandelle! Corin shrieks again. It's all right, Corin, you say. See? The rocks can't hurt me, but you've got to stop the beasts. The satyrs, frightened at seeing their rocks bounce harmlessly away from you, run when Corin's sword sweeps through the fray. Moving in the wake of your invisible shield, Corin dodges the rocks, his sword flashing and wounding each satyr it meets. Soon the battle is over. As the last satyr dashes out of sight, Corin turns to you and raises his sword triumphantly. We did it, Chandelle. He then drops his sword and gives you an enthusiastic hug. It feels absolutely wonderful, but then Corin realizes what he's doing and quickly releases you, blushing with embarrassment. To ease his embarrassment, you quickly say, "Let me show you the magic pendant that helped save us." After looking at the golden brown gem set in silver, you and Corin mount your horses and set out again, following the centaur tracks, which are now almost lost among the smaller satyr tracks. Soon you realize that all the tracks are heading in one direction, when you reach a point where they converge into one muddy path. Corin turns to you and whispers, "Wait, Chandelle, there's been so much activity along this path that I think our destination must be directly ahead. We mustn't make a sound." "Then let's leave the horses, you suggest." Tying Dwaddle and Bilkin to a tree, you and Corin creep forward towards a huge boulder. You see the muddy path disappear into the mouth of a cave. "The centaur tracks go into the cave," Corin whispers. "Then we'd better go in too," you say firmly. "That must be where Father was taken." "But Chandelle, anything could be waiting in there. You'd better stay out here with the horses." "He's my father, Corin." Then you think of the special help you can offer. You reach into your pocket for the leather pouch of stones. "Look," you say, pouring the stones into your hand. Corin's eyes widen as the stones rise to circle your head. "What are they, Chandelle?" You explain what your father told you about them, and then you scoop them back into your pouch. "Oh, I've also got my crystal ball." You laugh at the amazement on his face and hold up your wrist. From the golden bracelet around it dangles a small, clear crystal sphere. "See? It's just a little one, but it might warn us of danger ahead in the cave." "Really should have mentioned that earlier, Chandelle. My well-protected Chandelle, I would be proud to have you accompany me into the cave." And he makes a formal bow and gestures you toward the cave. Corin leading, his sword held ready to enter the dark mouth of the cave. You feel protected as you walk behind the knight, but each step that you take deeper into the unknown darkness makes you increasingly apprehensive. And then you round a corner and see a faint light ahead. Enough light so that you can see into your crystal ball. Relieved that it reveals no creature waiting for you, you breathe more easily and become curious about where you are. As you walk, the light increases until you can see more of your surroundings. The dark rock of the passageway walls is worn smooth. As the light grows brighter, you realize the rock itself, and the floor under your cream-colored leather boots as well, is a deep, luminous red, almost the color of blood. Rounding a corner, you stop abruptly, blinded by the bright light given off by torches mounted on the wall. Once your eyes adjust to the light, you can see that you have entered a small but richly furnished home. A plush carpet cushions your feet, and a soft couch dotted with the scattering of patterned cushions stands invitingly against the wall. The torches are mounted in ornate jeweled holders, and the walls are veiled in heavy velvet curtains that seem to deny the fact you are in a cave. "Do you suppose someone lives here?" you ask. "It certainly isn't a usual cave," Corin replies. "Maybe I can find someone," you suggest. Holding your braceleted wrist in front of you, you peer down into the crystal sphere. You turn slowly, letting the crystal ball reveal all directions. You're about to say no one is near when you detect movement in the ball. "Corin," you whisper harshly. "Someone is coming behind us." Corin quickly plasters himself to the wall, beside the door, sword raised and shield firmly in front of him. "Get behind me, Chandelle." You've just moved back against the wall when you hear the rustling sound coming from the doorway. You feel Corin tense, ready to wield his sword. The sound of movement stops, and a voice comes from the passageway. "Now if the young man holding the sword so fiercely would kindly lower it, I'll enter the room." The voice is low, gently accented and lyrical. You feel Corin startle, but he doesn't lower his sword. You, on the other hand, want to know who or what is beyond the doorway. Unfortunately, your crystal ball is too small to provide a clear view. "Put it down, Corin," you demand in a whisper. "But we don't know who it is," he insists. "And we'll never know if you don't lower your sword," you say fiercely. We seem to be getting nowhere, the voice says. Well, I'm coming in. I'll just have to trust that you won't use the sword on me. Into the room glides a woman with long, gleaming black hair tumbling over her shoulders. She is dressed in wine-red velvet decorated with brilliant jewels and many colors. You feel Corrin's sword arm jump slightly in astonishment as she turns toward him. You see that she is breathtakingly beautiful. Her skin has the glowing translucence of a prized pearl, and her eyes, which are slightly slanted, appear to contain the knowledge of the world in their dark depths. And who have we here? She asks. You note that her dark eyes focus fully on Corrin, and somehow you don't feel included in the question. I'm called Sir Corrin, milady, Corrin stammers as his sword arm drops. You watch surprised and dismayed as you see Corrin blush and look pleased. You doubt if he's even aware that you're still behind him. Well, he's going to be aware, you think to yourself. You move from behind him and say, icily, and I am Shendel. Who are you? The raven-haired woman steps back slightly and slowly looks up and down with an air of total indifference, making you feel small and insignificant. And ugly. She seems to reject you as beneath her notice and turns back to Corrin. As a cat-like smile flickers on her face, she says, I am called Wyvella. What brings you here? She listens to Corrin's explanation without comment. You're not certain, but you think you see that same glimmer of a smile cross her face when Corrin explains about your father's kidnapping. That Corrin doesn't seem to notice, though, and goes right on with his story. You feel anger building as they talk. Why, Corrin is actually enjoying this, you think heatedly. After Corrin relates all the factors leading up to your present predicament, the woman seems lost in thought for a moment. Finally, she says, I'm sure there's an explanation for all this. Please accept my assistance, Sir Corrin. I'd be happy to take you farther into the cave to see what we can find out. I think we can find out what we need for ourselves, you interrupt coolly. Corrin appears to notice you for the first time since that lovely woman entered the room. But Shandel, if Mistress Wyvella is offering to help, we certainly ought to accept her gracious offer. If Mistress Wyvella wishes to help, then perhaps she wouldn't mind telling us why she's living here in this cave. You try to speak calmly and evenly, but you hear anger creeping into your voice. You know that you're beginning to sound childish and silly. An enigmatic smile crosses Wyvella's face. Ignoring your question, she says calmly, Well, Sir Corrin, what shall it be? Do you desire my help or not? Shandel, what do you want to do? Corrin asks. Do you want to follow Wyvella further into the cave, hoping she can help you find your father? If so, turn to page 26. Absolutely not. Why don't we split up, Corrin, you suggest. You go with Wyvella down the passageway, you say, pointing in the direction from which Wyvella appeared. I'll go explore the passage leading out to the other side of this room. Corrin looks as though he's about to interrupt you, so you rush on. I've got my gems and my crystal ball to help me stay out of danger. No, Shandel, Corrin says firmly. I said I would take care of you. You breathe again, overjoyed that he has chosen you over this woman. But your joy is short-lived, because he then adds, Come, Shandel, come with Wyvella and me. She has been good enough to volunteer to help. We certainly ought to accept her offer. He looks so young and vulnerable, you think. But if that's what he wants... No, Corrin, but thanks for your help. You go on with Wyvella. I'll meet you later. You walk swiftly out of the room, turning down the second passageway. At first you see only stone corridors, and occasionally a small room, each as luxuriously appointed as the first. At each corner of the passageway you study your crystal ball to see if you are about to meet anyone, but the ball stays clear. But then you turn a corner, and the crystal ball takes on a bright red hue. You know that you've entered a special area of the cave. Here, the room looks brighter and even more luxurious than those you've already passed. These are huge, with gem-studded floors piled high with soft cushions. Draperies of fine silk accented with tassels of real golden thread fall into graceful folds from the ceiling. You see everywhere little niches in the walls holding special items of treasure, jewelry, ornaments, statues, all composed of precious metals and gems. You inspect each with growing eagerness and professional appreciation. Finally, you reach what appears to be the largest room of all. In it, you are drawn to the sight of a perfectly round sphere of gold, suspended in midair. You walk toward it, marveling at the incredible craftsmanship. As you gaze into its polished surface, you hear a shuffling sound, and in the ball, a red shape appears behind you. You gasp and turn terrified of what you see. Facing you is a huge winged dragon. The deep blood-red color of a ruby, it towers above you, clearly enjoying the fear its presence induced in you. "Corin, where are you?" you whisper, more as a wish than as a call for help.
"I have been keeping that young gentleman well entertained,"
says the dragon in a deep voice, containing a great amount of feminine pride. Then you recognize the look on the dragon's face. It's the same cat-like look that you saw cross Wyvella's face when she met Corin. "Wyvella!" you cry. And for a moment the dragon's face is replaced by that of the slant-eyed woman. When you blink, you see only the ruby dragon.
"I thought you might have sensed something devious about me earlier,"
the dragon says.
"I can of course assume the identity of whomever I wish. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Raydell. I see you have been admiring my decoration."
"Yes, so many lovely things," you murmur, puzzled at why you're standing conversing with a dragon.
"Here, let me offer you some hospitality,"
says Raydell. And it holds out a moisture-covered goblet surrounded by gold and silver threads intertwined with delicate patterns. No thank you," you stammer, turning towards the doorway. But Raydell's foot reaches for the door before you. You stop abruptly before running into sharp talons towards you.
"Are you quite sure you wouldn't like some water? It's very special water,"
it says this time so firmly that you know there can be no answer but yes. As you drink from the beautiful goblet, you feel a sense of urgency draining from you. Your eyes are spellbound by the goblet itself, and you know that you could live with such splendid things forever.
"All you have to do is whatever the magnificent Raydell asks of you,"
says the ruby dragon with a surprisingly gentle voice.
"Come, we will go find your father, and you may work alongside him at his jeweler's bench. I understand that you have acquired your father's skills at making beautiful things. I have so many gems that need proper care. That will be your job."
You feel nothing but pleasure at the dragon's concern for your well-being. The end. So I get a bad dragon for Valentine's Day?